Hello there, my name's James. Welcome back to my anxiety management channel. And in this video we're going to be looking at mindfulness and how it's useful in anxiety management. Okay, so mindfulness is quite the buzzword at the moment. I'm sure you're hearing it nearly everywhere. But what actually is mindfulness? So, plain and simple, mindfulness is paying attention on purpose to the present moment non-judgmentally. Well, that sounds really simple, doesn't it? But I wonder how many of us have tried reading a book and found that we've missed the last few pages because our mind's been wandered off to somewhere else. Or if we've sat down to eat our breakfast and watch the news, only to realise that we've not really been watching the news and we've barely tasted our breakfast. So if you can imagine the mind like a puppy, we'll ask it to sit, it'll wander off. We'll bring it back, we'll ask it to sit again, it'll wander off. We'll bring it back, and so on and so forth. But with the right time and the right amount of practice, eventually the mind learns to sit. And this is how it comes in useful when it comes to dealing with distressing feelings and anxiety management. So people that are suffering from anxiety are spending a lot of time in the fearful future. And because we're anxious, we tend to imagine the worst case scenarios. They seem to become our reality. People that are suffering from low mood will very often find themselves living in the painful past, experiencing unpleasant things that have happened to them in the past and experiencing all those emotions and feelings as if they were fresh. And very often they go hand in hand, so you could be spending time in the painful past and in the fearful future. So by recognising when our mind has wandered off into either of those places, it gives us then the chance to bring it back to what's actually going on for us right now. So the way I learned mindfulness was through an accredited mindfulness-based cognitive therapy course in which I was taught how to use mindfulness meditation. I used techniques such as mindfulness of the breath and the body scan. Now, mindfulness of the breath is when we start to follow the journey of the breath and we start to concentrate on what parts of the body are being affected by the breath. And we give our full concentration to this action, which is something we seldom do. Yet if we get a thought, instead of being scared of it or annoyed with it, we learn to accept it. And then we bring our concentration back to the breath. With a body scan, for example, I'll be giving my full concentration to the bodily sensations that are going on within me at that time. Again, without judgment. If the mind wanders off, instead of frustration or feeling of failure, we simply accept that the mind has wandered, as this is what the mind does, and then bring our attention back. Now, if meditation is a word that you find off-putting, then we can bring in mindfulness into our daily lives in any way, whether that be mindful eating, whether that be mindful walking, or just noticing more. Tasks that we normally avoid because we find them too mundane or too boring or just hard work, if we was to give them the correct attention, maybe we might start to get something different from that and maybe change our relationship with it. Again, we're bringing ourselves to the present moment rather than living in the fearful future or the painful past. You may notice that when you start to practice this, it might be frustrating as it does sound really easy, but it does take practice. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. And that autopilot, which very often takes our minds to the future or the past, can actually be recognised and seen for what it is. I hope you've found this video useful, and I really do hope that you give mindfulness a try. I can't recommend enough the work of people like John Kabat-Zinn or Mark Williams, and there's plenty of those videos on YouTube and in the bookshops, so give it a go. I hope you found it useful. Take care of yourselves.